Oh, look at that. It's not just exclusive for YouTube. Y'all Patreon people get the crotch cam too. So this is going to be a little bit of an addition to the series that I want to do of tricks and moves and little concepts that I actually use. Now, I know I've taught this before on the actual channel, but this is a move that's grossly underrated in terms of a full deck false shuffle using the overhand method. So pretty much what this looks like is like that. It looks like you are just mixing up the cards in a haphazard way, but really you're doing a full deck overhand false shuffle. Now, the first time I saw something similar to this was a Laurent Green idea of a circulation shuffle. Then I read that this goes back all the way to Erdnase using a sort of block control, sort of action. But then that goes even further back into the gambling world. But ultimately what you get is a full deck overhand false shuffle that looks convincing because of its pretty much its haphazard staggered sort of appearance. So let's just break that down in terms of how that looks like and why it's such an effective move. So the first action is you're going to hold the deck in this standard sort of overhand shuffle position. You're going to come in and grab a chunk. Now, the next move is pretty much getting this block of cards and holding it just like this between the ring finger and the crotch of the thumb in the right hand. So you see the position here. Now you're gonna try to diminish the size of that break as much as you can. I personally don't care. I put it and I just keep that gap because I'm angling the cards in a way that it's facing them so they don't technically see that bottom chunk anyways. So it doesn't matter how big the gap is. It really doesn't matter. So pretty much once you get past that point to where you're holding that little chunk between the ring finger and the crotch of the thumb, you're going to use your thumb to pull off another chunk. And instead of leaving it in the hand, you're going to put it in the same exact position that this packet is. So all that you're doing is cycling through and circulating the deck. You see what's happening? Now the key to this is going to be to practice this move to the point where it looks like an actual overhand shuffle. So the practice the move to where it actually looks like an overhand shuffle because you don't want it to just seem like you're putting the chunks on the bottom of the deck. Obviously, you want to make it seem like the packets are in this hand the entire time because that's what would happen with a natural overhand shuffle. But because you're doing the circulating thing and the hands are always in motion, they kind of miss out on that perception of the deck going underneath. So that's kind of what you have to add to this illusion. Now, one thing that you want to avoid in this is you don't want to pull your hand up and then they see that there's nothing in the hand because that kind of defeats the illusion. The illusion that you're going for here is that the cards are being shuffled in the left hand. But really, again, nothing's happening. So to end the shuffle, what's going to happen is that once you get to a sufficient amount of cards here, you're going to actually take off a chunk legitimately into the left hand. You're going to come in contact with those cards with the back half that you have here with the block. You're going to let those go on top of the cards in the left hand here. And this packet, which is the original bottom packet, is going to go in the bottom. So it's going to try to approximate one of these shuffles that you see people do when they overhand shuffle, that they just put it in the back for some reason. Every time I've seen somebody overhand shuffle a deck, they're never doing it just straight like this. They're doing a little bit of a haphazard, maybe putting some cards in the back, in the front. And that's kind of what you're emulating with this sort of shuffle. Now, you could even turn this into a 3-packet false shuffle by just doing the same. You're grabbing one chunk, that goes in the back here. You're grabbing another chunk, much like the same. You're going to do the exact same move that we just discussed, which is dropping the back cards on top of that card, and then coming back and putting these cards in the back, and you have an effective 3-packet sort of overhand shuffle false cut. And you could do that just like that pretty much simultaneously. So what you have there is a very convincing overhand full deck false shuffle that you could use with any sort of stack that you want. You could use it, let's make sure we get into autofocus here. You can make sure to use it with any sort of stack that you want. You can make it, you could do it with a cyclical stack. You could even do it with just a couple cards on top of the deck. This is a full deck false shuffle that really doesn't feel like you're doing a lot. I know usually when it comes to like false riffle shuffles, you kind of have to brace yourself for that. But for this, it's almost a very natural action to shuffle the cards in this very haphazard fashion. And it doesn't really look like you could possibly have any sort of control over the deck. But that's why this is one of my favorite moves, because if you have a small stack on top of the deck, if you have a small stack on the bottom of the deck, even if you're just doing this with one card on top of the deck, it looks like an overhand shuffle should look like. So I hope you guys practice that. I hope you guys got something from that, because it's a really good versatile move, and it seems like the natural lighting that I had here is going to screw me over anyway. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Please leave a comment below as to certain things that you guys want to see in this sort of style. If you guys might want a little bit more elaboration on ideas with this sort of things, because I do have a couple ideas with this particular overhand shuffle, or anything else that you guys might want. Just leave that in the comments. Thank you guys.